Greetings, Montaise here, and here's some Team Fortress 2 for you. This is not actually a live commentary, I'm going to actually talk about something, that is the Liberty Launcher. The gameplay in the background will be from a few different rounds on the same map. And I'm using this weapon, I'm using the entire airborne armament set, which is the Sparta, so the Liberty Launcher, the reserve shooter, and the market gardener. You're not going to see any market gardening because I'm terrible at it. So, the Liberty Launcher, it's one of the rocket launchers that are designed to help you in rocket jumping. We have the others doing that. They are the rocket jumper, which is mainly a training weapon that it can use as a gimmick. It does no damage, so it's not a serious weapon. But then we also have the airstrike, which is more useful on its own. The advantage there with the Liberty Launcher and the airstrike is because they have that reduced damage from rocket jumps. Means that you can be a bit more liberal with your rocket jumping even if you are not using the gunboats. And it should have been noted that the Liberty Launcher have a 25% reduction while the airstrike have a 15% reduction, so the Liberty Launcher is actually better in this regard, but there's more to the weapons than just the reduction in self-damage. So, the stats of the Liberty Launcher, the first one is fairly self-explanatory. Increased clip size. You get one extra rocket. That's it. It's a good thing. Then you have the thing that this weapon has actually had all the time, which is faster rockets. They are 40% faster, so nowhere near as fast as those of the direct hit, but faster than other rocket launchers. So, faster rockets, it seems like it's always a good thing. Also, you do need to consider that when you are using a rocket launcher, you are not going to aim directly at the enemies, you are going to think about how far they are, how quickly the rockets will reach them, and then try to aim, where they will be when the rockets reach them. And since the Liberty Launcher have a different travel speed than all the other rocket launchers, it can actually be a problem, so you may actually, before you get used to this weapon, you may actually end up missing more than you would otherwise if you have been using the other rocket launchers. That's not great, but when you get used to it, they are faster, so they are easy to hit. And really, the thing about soldier, you are generally going to aim feet, get kills. Occasionally, you will try to go for direct hits, but it all depends on the situation, of course. And another thing here to note about the faster rockets. This weapon has, as I mentioned, reduced blast damage from rocket jumps, so you are more liberal with your rocket jumps, which means you can jump up, and when you're rocket jumping and flying downwards, you're going to have height advantage, you're going to have an easier time hitting. So, if you're using things, another thing to note about the faster rockets, it can be useful against scouts. They are fast, hard to hit, but with a faster rocket, you can get them. And then we have the pyros. Some pyros like reflecting rockets. When you're using the Liberty Launcher, the different faster rockets does mean that they are less likely to really get the hang of the time required to reflect the Liberty Launcher's rockets. And it should be noted that considering while they lost, that is actually a downside. When it comes to reflected rockets, it's an upside because, let's go to the big downside. So that 25% damage penalty. This is the big downside with this weapon, and it's the main problem with it. The question, of course, is how big of a downside is it? It's not really that big of a downside, really. Many times you will actually end up using the same amount of rockets anyway if you're fighting low health classes. Depending on the distance, you may occasionally need an extra rocket. When it deals with Pirates and Devilman, you need to expect to use one extra rocket because they have 175 health. 2 rockets not going to cut it. And when you are going to need when you are using an extra rocket, keep in mind that you need the extra time to actually fire it. But as you can be more liberal with your rocket jumping without using gunboats, which means that you can do a fair bit of rocket jumping while still carrying around a shotgun or other secondary of your choice, which is pretty nice. But now, even if the Liberty Launcher is not as bad as some people think, how does it stack up against the airstrike? Also, the airstrike is another alternative if you want a rocket launcher that allows you to be liberal with your rocket jumping without having to equip the gunboats. Well, the thing here about the Liberty Launcher is that it's more reliable. You don't need to kill a bunch of people to get the extra clips, so you get all the advantages anyway, while killing people to get the increased clip size may be not really that difficult in a pub. I mean, even I can do it. Against more skilled player on a good community server, or if you're playing competitive, that's going to be a bit more difficult, but don't take my words with regards to anything even with competitive. I only play pubs. And really, the Liberty Launcher don't have the reduced blast radius that the airstrike have. The airstrike, to get most of use of it, you need to rocket jump to be able to fire a lot of rockets very quickly against the people you are aiming at, and you need to actually have good aim. And well, really, that's if you're not using the rocket jump, you can get use of the increased clip size anyway, but that's not using the weapon to its fullest potential. Now I'm not using the Liberty Launcher here to its fullest potential. Well, if I was better at actually knocking people up in the air and using my reserve shooter, that would be one thing, and if I was better at rocket jumping and all that kind of stuff, even then I think I did pretty well. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.